Let's come together this morning in our opening treatment, our affirmative prayer. We are treating our consciousness to the truth. We are treating cause and effect must follow. And today we bring our awareness, our consciousness, to commitment, to persistence, and to practice. There is one life, and that life we call God. And it is dedicated, committed to itself, to its creation, to its own isness, to its own suchness, to its own I amness. Dr. Holmes tells us that it's silly to ask why life is, but we just recognize that it is. And all of God is for all of God. There is no part of God against itself. Everything that the divine is, everything that the divine does, is in support, in celebration, in expression of its own life. Everything within the divine works together for a higher good. We see the different species, the different elements in nature, somehow cooperating without a spoken language. We see the stars and the planets dancing through the heavens, orchestrated in a divine ballet of harmony. Everything moves in perfect order. Everything is where it ought to be when it ought to be. All of God is for itself. It is committed. It is dedicated. It is devoted to itself. We recognize the inevitableness of God, the persistence of God. We can see it all about us. We measure our human lives in terms of decades. And yet our intellect tells us of a process that has been unfolding for billions and billions of years. The photons of light that escaped the sun and made it to us this morning began their journey from the center of the sun over 1 million years ago. For 1 million years, they have been persistent in making their way to us. God created the sunrise we saw this morning over 1 million years ago. We can see in nature how the tiniest of creatures, the ants, can build enormous structures, complex structures, through their sheer persistence. And we recognize the doing, the practice, the unfolding. It's not just enough to know about it. It's not just enough to think about it or sing about it. There is an actual practice of doing. And as we look at life around us, we see that life is God's practice, God's doingness, God's busyness. And as we take the time to allow ourselves to be more aware, of what is going on in us, as us, through us, and around us, we see how perfectly God is expressing itself in everything it does. We recognize then that our place in life is developing a greater awareness of the allness of the presence and the activity of God in us, as us, and through us. Today we renew our commitment to this mindfulness, to this awareness. We remain persistent, never wavering, constantly coming back if necessary. If we should drift off, we bring ourselves back. We remember our purpose. And our practice is a priority in our lives. We take the time, we give the attention, we bring ourselves to mindfulness every minute, every second of every day. Our life is our practice. We are grateful for the opportunity to be together this morning, to share these ideas, to hear these ideas. We are grateful to know that there's a power in the universe that responds to us exactly according to our belief. And it is our belief that we have been created for this purpose. And all of God is for us, none of God is against us. All of nature conspires for our growth, for our awareness. And we surrender to that today. So we release this treatment to that perfect law, knowing so certainly it is done, that we say together, and so it is.